Joining me now is Debra Mayberry. She is a cannabis and health coach at Cheer Yourself Anew. CHEER, which stands for Conscious Health Evaluation, Education, and Rights, is also a reminder that for transformation to occur, you are in charge of being your own cheerleader for your health and life choices. Welcome, Debra. I love that.
Hi, I love it too.
Yeah, yeah, I love, I mean, it's so true. I think sometimes we do look to family members and friends to kind of help push us along, and sometimes they do, but many times they have their own journey, their own issues, and maybe they don't, agree with your health choices. So you really have to find it within yourself to find your motivation and cheer yourself on. Is that what you were thinking?
Well, that and also sometimes in serious health places, it's just lonely because
Mhm.
no one else is going through it. You
Right.
are the one who are living it. They might be supportive, but only you can live it. And sometimes that's a psychological battle
Mhm.
to continue pushing through when things are really, really difficult. So
Right.
that's kind of how I feel about that.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. So you had about 30 years of using prescription pharmaceutical drugs for your health conditions, and then you had kind of a change of heart, change of mind. So what happened exactly?
I had an awakening is what I had. I
Mhm.
had a moment of truth of looking at my morning handful and going, well, that I still don't sleep and I hurt so bad I'm in bed every day and I'm super depressed. So that's not, and I was like, this isn't working
Mhm.
and it's definitely not sustainable. As a nurse, I saw what was coming with opiates and I had been prescribed opiates for chronic pain issues for a number of years
Mhm.
and I knew what was happening and I knew that I needed to do something different.
Mhm.
And someone introduced me to cannabis oil.
Nice.
And they're like, I had been using, I didn't use cannabis for almost 30 years. All those years I was using the
Mhm. Sure.
pharmaceuticals.
Right.
I wasn't using cannabis. I had used cannabis as a teen and early 20s, but once I became a mom and all of that, I had old fashioned perceptions about cannabis.
Sure. Mhm.
It was okay to party, but now you're an adult and we got to
Mhm.
leave that, only
Right. And as a
losers.
health professional too, um, you know, I was
Well,
also a health professional, and they drug test you and you're also sort
right,
of indoctrinated into the system in a way.
right. Right.
So
And
mhm.
I spent a lot of time. I was married to someone who was the ideal of what was used as a deterrent for teenagers of you're just going to be a stoner and do nothing and not, well I
Mhm.
was married to someone who kind of was like that and it had nothing to do with cannabis.
Right,
It had to do with the person, but at that
right.
time I thought it I everyone was telling me, oh, it's because he smokes pot, it's because he smokes pot.
Oh, I see. So it was sort of his behavior was blamed on this plant, which,
Right, right,
yeah, I understand.
right,
Um,
right.
so you had this awakening, and cannabis was sort of um, a catalyst, I would imagine. And then when did the other lifestyle choices, when did it occur to you that it wasn't just cannabis or the pills, it was other things that would help your health?
So I've always been pretty nutrition minded. Um,
Mhm.
but again, in a more uh, uh, mature, aged way, I'm
Mhm.
almost 60 years old. So it was, I mean, if I ate home cooked meals, we didn't eat out a lot. We didn't do a lot of packaged things, but there were still some things. And, but yet, lots of plenty of wheat, plenty of sugar.
Mhm.
And I knew, I just started reading other things besides what I was being taught as a nurse.
Mhm.
I started doing my own research about food and about behaviors and
Mhm.
about how you live your life and how that impacts your health.
Mhm. Wow, that's
And
great. You really
it's
started the journey. Yeah.
it's been awesome.
Hmm.
It's really
Nice.
been awesome.
Nice. So, this show, we're kind of talking about how this is a journey, right? And sometimes we falter, sometimes we're so-called good, right? And
Right.
stick to our own wellness plans and what we should be doing, so to speak. But many times, it's not a straight line.
No.
So, has that been your experience for yourself? And then how are you using that in your coaching too, that idea?
Well, first of all, one of my main tenets is be kind to yourself.
Mhm.
Be that cheerleader for yourself. Be that best friend for yourself. If you're saying, "Oh, well, it's a holiday, wheat and sugar."
Right, right.
Wheat
Hmm.
and sugar, everything is flour, sugar, and butter. And
Right.
and I'm not supposed to have wheat. I'm actually allergic to wheat. It's not, like life. It just makes me not feel well.
Hmm.
And yet I do it. And it's like, okay, so am I going to just, demonize my own self?
Hmm.
Or am I going to go, well, I'm doing this for today.
Hmm.
Tomorrow's different. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow,
Hmm.
but I've chosen this today, knowing full aware of all the consequences.
Right.
So I made an adult decision. So I
Sure.
can live with that. I'm the one that's not going to feel good.
Right. Right. So it's your decision
Right.
whether you're going to do that. And you may decide that you want to do it. And then the next day you just start fresh, right?
Yep.
Um, but when in working with clients, do you feel like uh, what do you see from them when they've made these decisions? Are they beating themselves up? Are they ready to move forward? How do you handle that, and what are you seeing?
There's a variety of responses. It
Hmm.
just depends on where the person is in their journey. They still may be in a big moment of denial
Hmm.
of that. They may be still in a blame mode of
Right.
someone else has, brought this on to them, or
Hmm.
or 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 just saying, well, I didn't know better. Okay, but you do now.
Mm.
you know
Hmm.
okay, so you said you didn't know better, but you're speaking as if you do know. So let your mind catch up with that.
Oh,
I,
right.
I do a lot of talking about self-talk,
Mm.
because one of the things I've learned that really gave me a lot of hope, gave me a ton of hope in my journey when my brain was really, really sick and really not working well and hurt.
Hmm.
And I learned about neurogenesis. And I
Ah.
learned about how we can alter the way our brain synapses occur by how we are thinking.
Hmm.
So if you're beating yourself up, blaming others, staying in that negative mode, you're those are the synapses that you're firing all the time.
Hmm.
Where if you're like, I'm going to meditate,
Hmm.
I'm going to let go of some of that. I'm going to have forgiveness in myself. I'm going to find something to be grateful for. That's another tenet that I'm huge about, is live and be grateful.
Hmm.
You can't stay angry all the time, and anger is a health killer.
Right. I agree. I think that's so true. So I often say for my journey, it started when I changed my mind and decided that I could be healthier. And when I falter, which I would say in the last couple of years, it's been very challenging to stay with my own wellness plan with the pandemic and everything that's happened in my family. And it's been very challenging. I've come in and out of it, sometimes more out of it than in, for sure. Right.
Absolutely.
But what you're saying makes so much sense to me, because in the last few weeks, I have returned to meditation daily and affirmations and gratitude, and I already see the difference. So we're putting a medical term to it, neurogenesis, right? And so it's known that this is true, you know. So for what you've seen in your practice and with yourself, you know, how has that manifested for clients or for yourself?
It's always fun to watch someone get it.
Mhm, mhm. Right.
And you can see, and some people, I've had to kind of let some people go and say,
Mhm,
this isn't a good, I'm not benefiting you,
mhm,
and this isn't a good match. And I'm not, and I don't have to figure out why. I can
mhm,
just see that I'm not benefiting them. And just to hear someone go on about things consistently, but you don't see any change,
mhm,
you have to kind of back away. And then you see other people that they're just like, oh, you have conversations with them, you have discovery time,
mhm,
and they say something, and you have this clarity for them, and you might say something. Like recently I had a friend who's also a medical person, and she was sharing with me about some intestinal issues she'd had, and how she was helping, cannabis was helping, and this and that. And I was talking about some of my own journey with those kind of issues, and I said, well, once I found out what I was allergic to, and she said, oh, you got tested? And I said, you haven't?
mhm,
Go get
mhm.
tested, girl. And she said, oh, I can ask for help. And that's a huge one for people,
Mhm.
is when they can go, I don't have to do it all alone.
Right. That is so important, being able to ask for help. I think, you know, you're talking about empowerment and being your own cheerleader and finding the gratitude, but equally important, know when you need some assistance and be able to reach out and ask for that help. I think that might help people stay on track a little more. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, if they'll accept it,
Mhm.
if they'll accept that, some personalities have a harder time with that than others. And
Sure.
sometimes it's a learn thing. I know for me, it's a learn thing. I still have my peers sometimes go, yeah, ask for help on that. And I'm like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
because you do what you've always done.
Right.
But I also tell people nothing changes if nothing changes.
Right. That's so true, you know. And I think, you know, when people are either starting their journey or if they've been on the journey but fallen off, you know, to get back on, maybe they, you know, may feel a little bit of shame, or it's harder to talk about with people, especially if they've been very vocal about all the positive stuff that happened. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, guilt and shame, all they are is immobilizers.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm sure you know as well as I do with experiences you've had, that when you let that rule, then you just don't even, you can't, you get back stuck in your amygdala, and you can't have conscious thought because you're stuck. That's what causes anxiety.
Mm-hmm. Right, right,
Those
right.
are some of the huge things that cause anxiety, because oh my god, somebody's watching, oh my
Hmm.
god, what are people thinking, and oh, I did wrong.
Hmm.
And so that's, back to square one of be kind to yourself.
Hmm.
Give
Right.
yourself a break. Give yourself a hug.
Hmm.
I mean, I have affirmations in my mirror, little things that people have sent me, and I I treasure those some days.
Sure. Right.
I mean, I'll look in the mirror and see those, and it's just like I needed that in that moment. It'll make me cry. It's just like, oh, I forgot my power.
Hmm. Right. We all do that sometimes. We forget that we are in charge of ourselves. Even when I know that many people have lots of challenges. I've had lots of challenges in my life. You've had lots of challenges, you know, but we're still in charge of ourselves, and you know, all of the things that you've mentioned are so vitally important to really keeping that journey going, or restarting when we feel like we just may not be able to, you know. What would be your suggestion to someone if they're just getting started on a health and wellness journey or plan?
Take some time to really envision yourself how you want your life to be.
Mm,
That needs to be a focus. If all you're focusing is on what you're trying to get away from, or what you're trying to change, or what you feel guilty or shame about, well, you're perpetuating that same energy.
mhm,
It's right there with you every day because you're reminding yourself. Where if you envision yourself in this new space with this new lease on life, this new willingness to do different, and you can see yourself there. That's how I got to where I am. I mean,
mhm,
literally, I kept going, well, we can tweak that, and that would be good,
uh-huh,
you know, and and it won't look exactly like where I live. It's amazing. And I didn't ever picture it, but I pictured what it represents.
mhm.
The
Yeah, this is
peace.
great, great
And
advice. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for that. So
Thank you.
where can people get in touch with you?
So I haven't been doing much on my pages since I don't have internet, and I'm working on getting that back up and running after the new year. Where I live, it's very difficult. We only have two
Mhm.
providers and it's astronomical fees. So,
I
but
bet it's beautiful there, though. I bet you're in the
oh, it
country
is.
and it's beautiful.
It
Yes.
is. I need to come out to the West Coast and have a beach trip, girl.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I'll keep that in
Welcome
mind.
anytime. But you can find me on my own personal page, Debra Mayberry. You can also reach out to me at my Cheer Yourself Anew page, which is on Facebook. I also can be found on YouTube, and I get messages there under
Great.
Debbie Mayberry.
Yes, I looked at your YouTube channel. It's fantastic. So people should
Okay,
definitely check that out as well. And
thanks.
thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.